I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Hey, I very rarely do I say this, but because I love y'all, but y'all two was cooking tonight. I got to give it to you. I think that, I said it in the past when I gave the example how I used to live in Houston, Texas, and I was down in South Park and Third Ward, Texas, and not the rich side of Third Ward, but like, the kind that would quote unquote the hood. And I remember sitting there looking, I said, man, you know what? I've been down here for 12 years and nothing in this neighborhood has changed. And I could see why somebody would say, you know what, voting doesn't matter because it's not changing how I live day to day. But when you have somebody that's putting in these policies that are having an immediate impact on improving the quality of my life, yes, you're going to get people to come out and to vote. I've been that guy that's been in the barbershop trying to tell people, listen, man, if you don't get out and vote, we can't be engaged. We can't hold people accountable. And I remember I'm waxing poetic for about 10 minutes and I just looked and there's about 12, 15 dudes in the barbershop that just tuned me straight out. So this enthusiasm that the DSA or has been able to garner, the Democrats have to find a way to embrace that. But what we're seeing is, I call them the corporate Dems. They don't really want to because it's a threat, to your point, Lab, to their status quo. Because why haven't you done something like this in all the years that you've been in office? So they don't want that success to come. And there's a term that I learned from this brother last week, and maybe you two have heard it. It's called liberal racist. Whereas, you might be less racist than MAGA or the Republicans, but your expectations for Black people and what they deserve is still less than what is acceptable. And I feel like that is something that we have to deal with on a consistent basis. And that's why people say left side, right side, it's all the same. A lot of people are talking about, okay, do we have a two-party system? Arika talks about, hey, we need a third party. And really what we have is one party, one corporate party that just has two separate interests. Now, again, I'm not out here trying to tell people don't vote Democrat and we're on the Democratic plantation because, we got people that do that all the time. And really all that does is stifle the little momentum that we have. But we have to find a way, well, I say we, the Democrats have to find a way to embrace this agenda to get people out because y'all kind of tap danced around, calling it racist. I'm gonna call it racist. Lab, I'm gonna call it anti-Black. Because you can't sit there and say that Black people don't do what they're supposed to do for the Democratic Party, especially Black women. And we look at right now, and there are so many Black women who are without work, because like I say all the time, nobody hates Republicans more than Black women. And you're seeing the retribution that they're putting into place because there are so many sisters who are out of work. So if the Dems want to make sure that this is changed, and they want to get the minority vote out, in particular Black people, they're going to have to address those things. Because, I hate the term Black people are monolithic, right? But you have the quote unquote Black people that's in the hood, and then you have those who are educated and maybe, middle class, upper middle class. And what we need is critical, but they may be different. So there's an opportunity for them to get them out. And how can you sit there and say that, how can you set the table to blame Black people like they always do when you look at the Hispanics and they the main ones that don't come out and vote or vote against their own interests? So there is a tinge of racism when it comes to you all keep targeting the black representatives, Corey Bush, Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries. I got to call that out.
Yes, but so there's yes and not yes, but yes, and I think the thing is that what we have to recognize is there's a hierarchy in this country, and they want to preserve the hierarchy as much as the white people. They just want more benefits on the hierarchy, but they don't want to ever fall below the black people on that
And that's what I
hierarchy.
say all the time.
Yeah,
What train of
yeah.
thought? I tell people all the time when I talk to my kids and I talk about having friends who are white. I say, yeah, you got friends who are white, but always remember it only goes so far. And the reason why it goes so far, because they don't want to jeopardize the benefits that comes to them because of their whiteness.
Yes, entirely. So, and I think that that's why that liberal races, I think there's always an element of self-preservation in their struggle, in their fight, because they're like, at the end of the day, I will fight for you, but you still got to stay beneath me. And so that's always going to be a component to our joint efforts to, progress this country forward. But I think the other thing that you mentioned, like when you say people live in these neighborhoods for 12 years and they don't even see a change or anything like that,
Probably
I
longer
think
than
that,
that. Probably longer than that. That's just the 12 years
For
I saw.
sure. Way longer
right.
than that. Yeah.
But like contrast that with like, so for me, we know I live in a white county and that's why my vote really doesn't matter, but I still vote. But anyway, but like last year or last summer in the winter or whatever, they put a note on my door and they was like, hey, don't park in your garage because we're going to be repairing your street. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with it. They was like, yeah, but by the time the winter changes to summer, it's really going to tear up the street. So we're going to fix it in advance. Okay.
That just means they have money to burn. Like we got budget money that we got to spend, and
Yeah,
we
we
don't
gotta
want we
spend
So
don't
it.
want to lose it. So we fix it.
Mhm.
but there were
We gonna
some
fix the
cracks.
street.
There were some, I know what they're talking about because they did it all over the neighborhood. And it was places where there had been like kind of like a little crack formed here. If there was even a hint that this was going to spread and turn into something, that portion of the neighborhood got repaired. So,
But
yes, and yes, they have the money to do it, but also they know that if they don't be proactive about fixing things around here, these white people gonna get up in arms and start rioting. What are you doing with our tax money? They gonna start voting people out and throwing all these fits and everything. And so I think the surplus of money. So that's why I'm like, we need to get these people who like me don't necessarily live in our areas to contribute back to our areas instead of contributing only to the area that I live in. But then also we need to hold the people that are overseeing those funds in those areas accountable for making sure that the stuff that's happening in other places is happening there too. And maybe that can counter some of the voter apathy that we're seeing. Maybe.
I'm gonna go on a brief tangent. I saw somebody on Threads talk about how they lived in a neighborhood, and this certain part of the neighborhood, the street that they lived on, really didn't get that much traffic, right? But over the course of years, they've had construction in that area multiple times. And it's like, why are we keep seeing construction? Why do they keep repaving this road in this area that's not seeing that much traffic? And the person that posted on Thread said, this is this is how fraud happens. So they say, hey, listen, this is an area that doesn't really need that much work, but it also doesn't have that much visibility. So this is how we can siphon funds to some of our people through these jobs,
Mm.
quote unquote, like Trump did with the damn reflecting pool, right? We can legitimately say, hey, listen, I'm gonna send some money to my guy, and they're just gonna fix something that don't need to be fixed, and it's not gonna have that much visibility, and they call it out. These are the type of things that happen. That's just a tangent, you know what I mean? But